For joining us again for another episode of That Pilot Guy. Today we're going to be doing a main gear tire change on a Cessna 172. The gear that's on the airplane right now, the tires look fine, but that's because these tires were actually borrowed off of another aircraft so that this one could fly. The original tires were worn out, so now that we have the new good tires ordered and in the mail and they've already arrived, we can take those and finally put everything back the way it's supposed to be. So let's go get some gloves, get some tools, and let's get this done.
Everything I do is foreign, you know what I mean? Yeah, foreign. Yeah, you see my whip, you know it's foreign. I'm so foreign. Then you see my girl, you know she foreign. I'm in Lauren. You've been wearing.
Right, now here's the tires that were originally on the airplane, and you can see how balded they are. They have a big bald spot there, which kind of continues down the back side. That was because somebody landed the airplane and pretty much held the brakes on. Here's our new stack of tires. Let's go ahead and open these up. I don't want to cut too deep in here. You got to be careful when you're opening these because they also have the tubes for the tires in here, and you don't want to accidentally cut this with the razor. So you want to be kind of, careful and gentle when you open these up. Here's what we need. Now, there's something extremely important you have to do before you start disassembling this wheel and this tire. Take the valve stem cap off, just like this. Get yourself a valve stem tool. One of these would work. Even a flathead screwdriver would work. And push the Schrader valve in. This is going to release all the air pressure out of the tire, which is extremely important because if you go to disassemble this wheel, this tire assembly or wheel assembly, without letting out the air pressure, and you take these bolts off like this wheel assembly could shoot off because it's under a lot of pressure. Because last time I checked, I prefer to keep all my body parts in good working condition. Alright, now it's time to start the disassembly process, which is pretty quick and painless. Let me put my gloves on here. The thing about these latex gloves is if you get ones that are too thick, it's like you're wearing ski gloves, which is equally as terrible because then you can't really feel as precisely on what you're doing. Does that make sense? But then if you get gloves that are too thin, then they tear and they break easily. So it's pretty hard to find that happy medium. I'm still looking for it. These gloves are really cheap and thin, and see, this one's already broken, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, let's go ahead and pop these off now that we've let all the air out of the wheel. We're not worried about anything exploding. broke the seal, this will lift right off just like that, nice and simple. There's one wheel half. I'll set that down right here. There we go. There's two wheel halves, and I'll set that one right there. You can kind of tell the difference between the inner wheel half and the outer wheel half, because this one is all nice and dirty, and that nasty dirty looking brown stuff is all the brake dust from the wheel. So you can tell that this one obviously gets cleaned quite a bit more. The second way you can tell the difference is this one has a hole for the valve stem to come out of, so you can fill the tire with air. There we go. See, now the tube is all filled out and there's no crimps or creases in it anywhere, which is exactly what we want. Alright, there we go. So you get the general idea of how it works. It's a pretty simple process to take off an old wheel and switch it out, put on a new one, or change the tire or the inner tube. It's all pretty simple. Anyways, now I've just got to go do this 4 more times.